Hello ladies and gentlemen, what's up? Welcome back to Force Strategy Gaming. Going to be casting a game for you today between Idra and Drewbi. So this is a Zerg vs Terran here on Lost Temple. And yeah, going to be a good game. Definitely, most certainly, no doubt about it. Actually, I have no idea. We'll find out though. So yeah, ZVT here on Lost Temple. Let's take a look at the map now. Lost Temple, of course, is no longer in the map pool. They are still playing with it competitively, but it is no longer in the 1v1 map pool, so this is a map you no longer have to deal with. It has been replaced by a Lost Temple-like map. Not quite the same. There are a few alterations. No longer an island expansion. Instead, there are now destructible rocks, and then the bases are a little more wide open. So I'd say a little more Zerg-friendly maps. Not having to deal with this high ledge, of course, is really nice. But let's talk about the map for these specific players. Now, again, they do have the high ledge here to deal with, so Idra is going to have to be concerned about tanks being placed up on the high ground. Very abusable, makes it a little bit difficult for a Zerg player to expand. We'll go ahead and see if Drewbi does end up going ahead and trying to exploit that or not. Again, it's not going to be in the map pool forever for these players because the 1v1 map pool has changed. But anyways, yeah, Drewbi's going to be going off for this wall off. Going to be placing down that barrack as soon as he hits 150 resources. Look how tight this timing is. Right away, pretty much as soon as he can, getting that barrack down. Now, Idra, going to be interested to see if he does decide to go for a quick expansion or open up with that one base play. Obviously, one base play a little bit safer, allows you to defend yourself quite a bit more easily. And no, it looks like he is in fact going for that expansion, so going to be dropping down that hatchery. Now this could be very, very dangerous right now, especially considering that they are in close positions. Idra is not aware of that yet, but he will find out eventually sometime in the near future. We can see Drewbi's going to be pushing out right now, and you know, Drewbi can easily exploit the fact that Idra has only gone for this fast expansion as opposed for that pool. I don't know why I was choosing those words in that particular order, but the interesting thing to note though is that Drewbi has yet to come down with a refinery, also has yet to come down with the second barrack, so it looks like he himself may be quick expanding as well. That is certainly an option. You typically are going to see a refinery before this point, so you know, Drewbi is well aware at this point that Idra is in that near position. He did see that spawning pool coming in. Idra's going to be finding out right about now as well exactly where his opponent Drewbi is, but again, Drewbi has yet to get a refinery, still just on this one base with one barrack, so looks like we're going to be seeing a quick expansion coming out from him as well, so we're going to be seeing how easily he can defend that. Again, Idra is quite a bit of ways right now from getting any Zerglings, and here comes that expansion being dropped right about now for Drewbi. So yeah, Drewbi's going to be needing to defend this expansion. Bunkers could come into play and be quite helpful in this situation, but going to be moving out instead with some early marine pressure coupled with the zealot there. Going to let him apply a little bit more aggression, also provide that opportunity of placing down that bunker and buying himself time for this expansion. More Marines going to be coming out as well. Looks like they're probably going to be streaming to the expansion. Actually, no, yeah, they're just going to be covering his own expansion. So deciding, in fact, not to push in. There's that spine crawler. Now, once that does come in, of course, it's going to make it nearly impossible for this really early slight Marine push to be any bit near effective. Just that spine crawler without stim pack for those Marines. It takes them far too long to take it down, and they just take way too many losses. So Zergling's going to be moving out right now, doing what they can. There is that bunker placement as expected. Drewbi pretty much going to need that to properly defend this against Zergling's early game. Zergling's going to be pushing forward. I don't think they're definitely not going to be able to contend with this amount of Marines. Going to be forced to pull back at this point. There's just too many Marines, again, without that metabolic boost. Even though these guys don't have stim pack, they can quite easily take down those Zerglings early game before that metabolic boost is finished. And you can actually see Idra just now researching that. So just now coming out with the metabolic boost. It does still have one guy on the gas, but pulled the other two off. Going to be trying to concentrate on those minerals, letting them drone up a bit hard. You can see you've got two drones coming out as well as another queen, and there is that metabolic boost research. Now over here for Mr. Drewbi, we do have a factory coming down, so going to be teching up right now, doing that nice little transfer there of those SCVs, trying to evenly distribute the saturation between both bases, and there is that orbital command as expected. So yeah, it looks like he is in fact going to be teching up right now. Two factories in fact, so going to be going factory heavy. Might be seeing some mech play here from Drewbi, and that'd be quite exciting actually. Dropping down this reactor, he's going to be switching that up, getting some double Hellions out, and would be interested to see if he decides to go for Tech Lab and Blue Flame. That of course could be quite effective. Idra not really able to deal with those Blue Flame Hellions at the moment. Obviously once that metabolic boost comes in, he's going to be able to get a surround on those, but even then, if Hellions have Blue Flame, it's really hard to deal with. And look at that Tech Lab going down. Idra with this sacrifice over Overlord going to be scouting that. He saw both factories. He saw the tech lab. I'm pretty sure he knows what to expect at this point. Now, of course, Drewbi could mix it up if he so desires. We'll see if he does, in fact, do that. But there's the little switcheroo. And here come those double Hellions. And do we have Blue Flame? Yes, we do. So Blue Flame Hellions in the works right now, sticking to his plan. Even though Idra scouted it, he's going to decide to go ahead. Now, Zergling's trying to move in. Did end up doing quite a bit of damage. We did have a few Marines pulled back down, though, for Drewbi. So he managed to shoo away those Zerglings just in time before they took away the bulk of the SCVs. And Drewbi, of course, did respond properly by pulling those SCVs away, trying to prevent any possible surrounds from those Zerglings. Now over here inside of Idra's base, we do have 2 extractors coming out of the expansion layer, just about finished right now, so going to be moving up into that higher tech. Going to be interested to see if he decides to go for kind of the Speedling Baneling build with Mutas, or if he's going to be going in a different direction. Again, those Blue Flame Hellions going to be making their way out sometime in the very near future. He's got 2 more and some more, so he's going to be pumping out a lot of Blue Flame Hellions right now, sticking solely to that. He has no other tech at the moment. Also probably going to be wanting to come out with a few Marines as well. So the layer is finished, and let's see what does Idra decide to do. He looks like he's going to be placed down that spire, and we have another expansion coming down over here as well. Now this is obviously good if he gets it up, but very, very dangerous. If Drewbi does manage to spot this expansion, he's going to be able to quite easily take it out. And now Idra, of course, is going to be able to defend that a little bit easier with the mobility of those Mutalisks. So once those hit the board, it's going to be a little bit easier, but until that point, this is a really dangerous expansion right here. So Zergling's moving forward, trying again to do some damage, but the Marines did in fact nullify that. And here come the Blue Flame Hellions. Now this is really the effectiveness of this is going to hinge on this attack right here. Drewbi needs to do lots of damage right now. If he can hit the economy really hard, you can see right now Spire is nowhere near finished. So here we go. Blue Flame Hellions going to be moving in. They of course want to avoid that Spine Crawler as well as those Queens. Going to try to roast any Zerglings and move in and take out any drones. He really needs to push into the economy here. Zergling's trying to get surrounded, but those Blue Flames absolutely tearing through them. Now the Hellions drop down to only 6 right now, down to 5. Nice scout there, nice block rather by those drones, preventing the amount of damage that these Hellions could do. And actually he hasn't managed to do too much damage to the actual economy of Idra. Down to just 2 Hellions right now. Going to be pushed into the main, taking care of those Zerglings. He's roasted a lot of Zerglings, but again, the actual drones haven't been affected that much. And with the Zerglings moving forward, going to get a full surround, and unfortunately for Drewbi, not enough damage. Again, he really didn't hit the economy very hard. He managed to take out a few Zerglings, but the economy was pretty much not touched at all. Now, what does this transition look like? We're going to be seeing some Thors here from Drewbi. Also getting a tech lab down here on the barracks. Going to want to start getting upgrades for those Marines. Stim Pack, Combat Shield, all those things going to be effective because he has none at this point. And not having Stim Pack against these Mutas coming out, that's a big problem. Again, Drewbi had to do a lot of economic damage there, and like I said, he did pretty much none. We do have 7 Mutalisks on the board, or just about on the board. They're just about to pop. Also that level 1 upgrade for that air unit. So gonna be a big problem. Now he does have the Thors coming out, but if Idra can properly micro his Mutalisks, which I'm quite certain that he can, if he can properly micro those Mutalisks, he's gonna be able to stay away from those Thors and do quite a bit of damage. We do have some nice missile turret placement here from Drewbi. Gonna cut back on the harassment of those Mutas, especially early game. But once he gets those Mutas in mass, it's gonna be a bit of a problem. So here we go. Push gonna be moving out right now for Idra, doing what he can for damage. Thor is gonna be engaging that big group right there. Lots of damage going down to that big group of Mutalisks. So forced to push back. Just look how quickly those Mutalisks drop to that Thor fire, plus that missile turret. Missile turret is a lot of DPS against those Mutalisks. It's definitely a lot to contend with. But gonna be pushing forward, doing what they can, trying to pick off any outlying buildings. Again, great turret placement here by Drewbi. Gonna drastically cut back. A nice Thor here blocking this angle. Some more big damage going down on those Mutas. So Idra is gonna be forced to push back. But again, take a look over here. Idra's got up the expansion. Drewbi has no idea whatsoever, and this is going to be a big advantage here for Idra. The fact that he's got this going, he's going to be transferring over some workers right now, going to start to get that saturated, and he's going to be in a great position once he gets that up and running. Now we can see lots of upgrades here coming out for both players. We do have that Stim Pack as well as that Siege Mode coming out. Some level 1 upgrades for both the melee, not the melee, but the infantry units as well as the mech units. We do have the speed upgrade coming out for those Banelings as well as the level 1 upgrade for the melee damage there for Idra's units. So lots of upgrades coming out from both players. Idra going to continue to try this harassment. Again, some great Thor placement. Going to make this a lot less effective, plus those missile turrets. So moving in, taking lots of splash damage to that Thor. And again, he just can't really handle the amount of splash damage. Got to spread out those Mutalisks in order not to take that much damage. But Idra's got map control right now. Drewbi's only real chance at this point is to mass up and go out for a huge push and see what he can do for damage. If he can manage to push out and do a lot of damage, then he may actually have a chance right now. But Idra maintaining map map control. Maybe looking to get another expansion sometime soon as well. That is definitely a possibility. Feeling pretty comfortable right now just on 3 bases. Again, these Mutalisks definitely drastically cut back in the effectiveness because of that great Thor placement plus those missile turrets. I can't say that enough. Great job there by Drewbi, and the upgrade's just about finished right now. Getting that level 2 for his ranged bio units. Also getting that combat shield just about finished. And just pumping out pretty much Marine tank, just using those few Thors. And here we go. Mutalisks trying to move in, picking off what they can. But again, the threat of that Thor makes it a little more difficult for him. And going to be forced to push back. Really hasn't able to fully utilize these Mutalisks because of that. And yeah, both players just macroing up. Idra coming out with a few Banelings. Again, taking map control, spreading out that creep. He's got a full awareness of exactly what's going on. We can see Idra putting up this expansion right now, so finally moving out with that 4th. And again, Idra is in just a solid position right now. So that big push going to be coming sometime soon for Drewbi. You can see him mobilizing those forces. And here come a big push of Mutalisks right now. That one Thor is going to get dropped very quickly. Moving in, magic boxing that Thor. Going to drop him almost instantly. Repairs going down though, a little bit extra damage, but not quite enough. And now that he's got kind of this critical mass here, going to be managing to take out a lot of the base here of Drewbi. But Drewbi, look at this, going to be moving out for this push right now. Now, depending on how Idra moves in, moving in with those Speedlings, Banelings, trying to get around, needs to micro away those Marines, but lost a lot to those Banelings. Tank fire taking out what they can, but he did lose a lot of Marines. And these Mutalisks are going to be moving in to try to mop things up. A few more Marines pushing down right now, moving down with those medevacs as well. Going to be healing up those Marines. Not sure right now if Drewbi's going to be able to take this. He lost the bulk of his force. A few Marines coming down here as well. Going to be taking out the creep tumors, denying the vision there for Idra. Does Idra have enough Banelings? He does have quite a few. Needs to push in and try to get us around. Those Marines getting very low right now, trying to move forward. Tank unsiege. That is a big problem. Moving forward, getting us around on those Marines, trying to split them up and micro away. Doing a great job of microing those Marines, though, in between all of the Zerglings that were getting a nice surround there. So good job there by Drewbi, stim packing into the bunker. He says, fuck this, I'm going inside. That was really funny. I have never seen someone stim pack into a bunker before. That's pretty hilarious. Those Marines were not thrilled to be out there. They want to get inside their base as quickly as possible. So that was a nice little engagement between both players right there in the middle. I think Idra definitely had the advantage there, especially considering, again, that he does have this 4th base up. Hasn't gotten it saturated yet because was too concentrated on that fight there, was investing all of his resources, basically, into trying to wipe out what Drewbi had. And look at that, lots of Banelings right now for Idra. Going to be trying to continue up this Mutalisk harassment. Do we still have that one Thor in the main base? No, of course we don't, because that did get dropped. So there are no more Thors on the board at the moment, just Marines and tanks, and that's pretty much it. Going to be trying to push out, do what he can. He needs to leave his base. He needs to get up another expansion. Moving into this gold is probably going to be his best bet. It's going to be incredibly difficult for him to try to expand over here with the mobility of that Zerg player. So trying to push, being as aggressive as possible, moving out. There's that expansion again. He is definitely going to be looking to go into that high yield. Needs to be careful and make sure he doesn't get engaged in a wrong spot against those Speedlings and Banelings. Definitely needs some more tanks out here, though. That is a big problem for him right now. Doesn't have quite enough splash tank damage to properly deal with all of these units. Going to be trying to move in right now. Idra moving forward with the Zerglings, Banelings, and Mutas, trying to mop at the units, not microing away those Marines fast enough. Those Banelings just rolling right over them, and again, not enough tank fire to take care of those Banelings properly, mopping up all of the Marines. There's pretty much no more anti-air, and these Mutalisks are going to be able to clean up anything that's left. Oh, losing that medevac full of Marines. That was a big loss there for Drewbi. And yeah, essentially what happened there is Drewbi just didn't have enough tanks set up to deal with those Banelings before they got within range of the Marines, and then it was effectively a good strat there by Idra and moving in those Mutalisks at the exact same time as that, and mopping up the Marines running away from the Banelings. That's pretty much exactly what you want to do against this build if you're a Zerg player and you're facing a Terran player who's going for this. And look at that, Drewbi does call a good game. So yeah, at the end there, that big engagement, just not enough siege tanks for Drewbi, and as such, his Marines were forced to run away from the Banelings, and they couldn't engage those Mutalisks, and all of those units converging at once on the units of Drewbi is just too much for him to handle. He didn't have the anti-air actually firing because it was instead running away. So good game between these two players. Idra managed to take map control. A big problem here as well was that Drewbi did pretty much no economic damage in that push with those Blue Flame Hellions. Had he done some economic damage, I could have gone quite differently, because Idra would have been forced to re-drone up instead of making offensive units, and he wouldn't have had quite as much of an army to deal with what Drewbi was pushing out with. So great game between these two players. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Keep watching and keep owning. Push out, and with even more proper use of force field, splitting the forces of Goody, he can just easily handle what's thrown at him, basically. Now, something else important to note is that Goody was going for an expansion while this push was coming. The second that he saw the push come, he canceled the expansion and is actually going to be getting another gateway instead. A few things to